The following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to part 6 of What If Deku was the Punisher. Last time we left off with the birth of Izuku's youngest child, Patricia Stark Todoroki, also known as Pepper. It was implied that Momo would be going to UA in a few years' time, and as far as that goes, I'll drop you off a few months before her school year begins. Almost a year after the last part, to be more accurate. Today was a good day for Izuku, and one of his days off, and he'd spend it in the comfort of his home. Fuyumi was working on her lesson plan for the year, since it's currently February. Sure, the current school year won't be ending for a few weeks, but it never hurts to be prepared, and she hates repeating the same old lesson plan every year. The only thing she does every year without fail is a pop quiz on day one to gauge where her students are on a knowledge base. While Fuyumi is busy planning out her roster, Momo places a beer on the coaster to the side. Fuyumi kisses Momo with love and appreciation.
Already trying to get extra credit, hun?
Momo was a blushing mess at her sister wife's comment.
Fuyumi, I was just trying to get you to relax a little.
At this point, Momo had gone into full-on pout. She had already knew she was in and took the recommendation test as a formality. After all, she had spent years under the tutelage of the Punisher, and not to mention that she was married to him in the first place.
Relax, Momo. I'm just teasing you a little, dear. But I do appreciate everything you do. You're an amazing wife and an incredible mother. But just remember that you'll be a student in a month and some change. I'm not saying ignore us and the kids, but please, manage your time properly.
Izuku picked that moment to walk in, with 2 of his 3 kids hanging on to him. Pepper was hiding behind Tony.
She's right, babe. Family is important, but don't let your responsibilities as a mother and wife weigh you down. Remember, you're not the only piece to this puzzle, and focus on school, please. Also, little Tyke wanted to see you too. Come on now, stop hiding behind Mommy and give your mama the hugs you wanted to give them.
In a ball of pure adorableness, Pepper leapt at Momo first, and Momo caught her daughter. Inko and Hasashi made their way to Fuyumi. The fact that she was drinking meant that she was done for the day. These 2 are showing signs of quirks, while Pepper has a little something. Surprise, surprise, I mean, her mother was born with her quirk as well. She doesn't have the latent control that Tony necessarily has, since she's not even 2 yet. All she's got is, well, the reactor on her chest. But her siblings being 4 and 5 means I get to tell you about in greater detail about their quirks, at least. Inko, surprise, surprise, has Fabricator, albeit a less powerful version. One thing she has on her old man seems to be that she has a slightly faster processing speed. Well, faster than base fabricator at least. One for all aside, there's something I'd like to remind you all about. The super soldier serum. Izuku made a perfected version of that based off Steve Rogers' blood. And while I'm not quite certain if the serum in Cap can be hereditary, this one can, since it also affects the recipient's quirk. Don't get confused though. She can't exactly make everything faster than her father, especially at this age. Remember the weakness of Fabricator. To make something, you literally need to make something. And due to her age, she can only really do so much before she tires out. But yes, she can make simple things far faster than her daddy. But once again, the advanced stuff is not her forte. To be clear, she can make components faster than Izuku. Definitely. Yes. But not actual items like, let's say, a gun. She could produce something like a hammer, a knife, or a sword just fine though. Adding special properties to those items is something that her daddy can do at the drop of a hat, but it'll take time for her though. For Inko at this point, simple is best. Given time to properly develop, she'd be able to make improved simple builds about 1/3 of the time longer than it would take her father. Now, like I said, longer. Right? There's a reason for that. One, her age. Two, one for all. So, yeah. Now, that's not a laughing matter. However, Izuku shall remain the king of the advanced builds, while Inko would be able to amass components faster than him eventually. The power of Fabricator is limited due to her age. Even with her parental background, she's only going to know so much at her age. Also, add in the fact that while the Super Soldier Serum may be hereditary in this manner, one for all is not, and that is a gap that she will never, ever, ever close. Everyone wanted the kids to progress in their own pace, really. Inko spends a lot of time around Tony and soaks up everything she says, so she's a little nerd just like her daddy at that age. Now, let's move on to Hasashi, whose quirk is more focused on the Todoroki end of his lineage. To be more specific, he had a hot and cold creation quirk called Heat Tundra Generator, or HT-Gen for short. Hasashi, much like his aunt, could control fire and ice, but unlike her, and much like his daddy, he made things, usually with his body. Claws of ice, boots of fire, things like that. It's gotten to the point where he has to share a room with his aunt to counteract his quirk sometimes. He tends to build in his sleep. He doesn't quite have the control of it completely, and that is a problem. But Reina is there for him and answers every single question he asks without fail. After all, she had almost the exact same problems when she was young too. Decent quirks when you consider their lineage, if you ask me. Time goes by, and Izuku's phone rings. Luke, my man, what's up? For real? Hell yeah, I'm in. As a little gift from me to you, how about Hawaii? Of course Danny already paid for it, of course he did. Well, either way, congrats, man. Izuku hung up while his entire family was staring at him. Ray spoke up. What was that about, Izuku? Izuku grins. Luke and Jessica are finally getting hitched.
Luke asked me to be the best man. Also, Tony just wants you to be the matron of honor.
Tony got a little chipper at that.
You heard me suggest why, right? Turns out, Danny beat me to the punch and paid for the whole thing in full since, well, it's a double wedding.
Izuku was good friends with everyone involved and helped with the defenders from time to time. Since Izuku himself was an international hero, but the majority of his work was done once again in Japan. Enji was the only one that was really busy, but he's the number 2 hero and has vacation days saved up in mass, and his wife would tell him as much.
Enji, you have a massive amount of vacation time that you never take. A family holiday sounds great, and you need to relax a bit as well.
Enji was about to say something when Izuku decided to tag team him with Rei. Izuku sat in his seat, made an ice-cold beer for himself, cracked it open, and glared daggers into Enji's very soul while slowly drinking it. Alright. I'll take a damn vacation. The whole family was smiling at that one. Izuku clasped his hands together.
Everyone packed 2 weeks worth of clothes and whatever incidentals you don't want to bother Momo, Inko, or I for. We're taking off within the hour.
Within seconds, everyone was gone. This wedding was a great excuse for a family trip, and it helps that Izuku's invitation was for the entire Todoroki family. Just Luke and Danny know full well how much of a family man Izuku is. As demanded by Izuku, everyone is ready within the hour and are in the hangar bay. Izuku heads to the cockpit but is stopped by Tony.
Pops isn't the only one taking a vacation here. Let Jarvis handle this. And besides, doesn't Pops also know how to pilot? So you've been teaching him, right? And besides, I've been missing you. Something fierce.
Tony said while pressing into Izuku's left side. Momo followed suit on his right side. And Fuyumi kissed him and put a lot of sway on her walk to the Quinjet in front of him. Momo felt a chill down her spine and looked behind her to see Reina glaring at her. Momo turns around and walks backwards while holding Izuku's arm, now with her right arm, and waves at Reina with her left hand, bling on full display. Good thing Toya was behind her to melt all that ice she was making.
Ugh. Get over your stupid bro-con. He chose me years ago. If anything, he'd be mad at Tony, not me.
Inko looked at her mommy and could tell what was going on. She stuck her tongue out at her aunt and held on to her mommy. For visuals, Inko looks more like her mother, but she's got her father's eyes and hair out of the mix, really. Hasashi looks more like his dad and has glacier white hair with a tuft of red in it, and he also has green eyes. The only child without them, really, is Pepper, who, like her mother, once again, was born with her quirk. She produces quite a little bit of energy, but keep in mind she doesn't have the modicum of anywhere near a modicum of control that Tony has, since she's not even 2. Again, she looks just like her mother, with the exception of her hair being green and black. So it's more like green with some splotches of black in there. But once again, she has no quirk control, really. Ray noticed the shade that her daughter was throwing and would make a point to nip that in the bud as soon as she could. She is above all of this. Momo is a good girl and an amazing mother, so this conversation will be happening. Rei glares at her daughter and Reina drops her head in defeat. Angie takes the stick, but however in this instance Jarvis is doing a good majority of the heavy lifting, but Rhodey's also there as a co-pilot, since he was invited to the wedding as well, and he will be joining in on the Todoroki family vacation. One would think that they'd go to a hotel, right? Wrong. They had landed in a remote part of Maui, and the three creators of the family smile at the canvas of the area that they bought. You guys go enjoy the islands. We're gonna have some fun working on our home away from home. Three touch hands and disappear into the vault. I will never get used to seeing that, no matter how many times I do. It's one thing to know that the vault is a thing, and it's another to know that they can vanish into it at will. Natsuo let out in amazement as the rest of the family went out for a day on Oahu. And yes, I'm including Rhodey since the kids call him Uncle Rhodey. The house was reminiscent of a Japanese castle, but loaded with tons of modern features. Rei and Reino were the first to get back, and when Izuku laid eyes on Rei, he honestly didn't know where to look. Those are some cute swimsuits you've got. You look great in them. The both of you. Izuku made his comment to the both of them, but his eyes lingered on Rei, and Reina noticed it.
Why can't he look at me like that?
Everyone else arrives a few minutes after Plum tuckered out.
Well, you look like you had fun there, little man.
Hisashi was grinning from ear to ear while holding on to a bag full of sweets. Toya was holding on to a few prizes that the boy couldn't carry. There was some sort of festival going on. Kid cleaned house, and Stallkeeps thought that he was cheating. Then I told them who his dad was, and they backed off. Izuku grabs a lollipop from his son's haul.
Gotta pay the tax there, son.
Of course he's joking, and everyone knew it.
Daddy, you can made... Wow, that's big. How much did Inko help with, Daddy?
The answer was quite a bit, actually. Inko produced all the lumber necessary to make the palace, while Momo worked on a few items to keep the house truly off-grid. Izuku made an arc reactor to power the joint, and both Tony and Pepper would later provide him with a little extra charge for the jet reactor. He didn't want to put too much of his time and resources into something that someone in the family could provide later. So for the most part, he laid the foundation and had Momo and Inko help with the plumbing and all of that. I mean, while they could do a cassette toilet, it's still off-grid, but and self-contained and recycling and all of that though, so there's that. The castle even had a cloak and shield generator. It was a team effort, but most of the work was on Izuku. Since he was drained, he was enjoying some time in the jacuzzi later on. He didn't even need to make one, he just had one he already had one in storage, so that was good for him. Izuku was having a relaxing time, and then Rei came in. The only problem was he had nothing on. Before Izuku can just pull some shorts out of the vault,
when in Rome.
Much to Izuku's delight and horror, Rei strips and gets in, right next to him.
It was really sweet of you to involve Inko like that. You may have struggled a little alone, but you had all day. And then there's the fact that Momo joined you.
While she doesn't have the benefit of fabricator like you and Inko, I'd say that at this point, she can generate more than Inko. Izuku was trying not to stare too much, but it was just, he couldn't. He really couldn't. It's Ray. He had a childhood crush on her, and everyone knows it. Let me be clear here. Fuyumi is not a replacement for Ray in any way, shape, or form. That is from Bones, not Izuku. You're handling yourself pretty well. I thought you'd have done something by now. Izuku was silent. As much as I'd love to, I love my wives, and I couldn't betray Pops like that. No matter how much I adore you. While you are indeed gorgeous, Fuyumi is magnificent. And you're not Ray, are you? With the removal of a little bracelet, Ray is gone and Fuyumi appears. She kisses her husband, then hops on top of him. Let's just say that the hot tub was christened that night, and the real Ray kept anyone else from going outside for a bit. Ray still needs to have a conversation with her youngest daughter, though, so she pulls her to the side. You need to rein in your silly little crush, Reina. Izuku is happily married to 3 wonderful women, and they have 3 beautiful children. Tears flow down Reina's eyes. You think I don't know that? But every time I look at Momo, I can't stand it. She's about my age. Mom, it could have been me. It should have been me. Why couldn't he? Reina cries her heart out to her mother. I won't say she gets it completely out of her system, but after this talk that quite frankly needed to happen, she'll at least be civil with Momo. After all, she is the mother of her favorite only nephew. Momo turns the corner and spots the two. Reina, are you okay? Do you need anything? Reina hugs Momo. I'm sorry for being such a bitch all these years. Make them happy, okay? No words needed to be exchanged. All they'd serve to do is ruin the moment, really. After the wedding is over, the family flies back home, and the countdown to UA for Momo comes ever closer.
Some of you may be curious why there's no He-Man in this. Well, we're not quite there yet.
If you liked that, let's get a United States smash on that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider going full cowling with that subscribe button. And let's go plus ultra with the notifications. Ring that bell, baby. Rest easy, Deadites. And remember, the night is ours.